I think it's important talking about this because so many times in life, everyone is going through so many problems and challenges.
Right.
But when we open our phones, when you go through social media, it's happiness all around.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yes.
if you're going through something and you look on your feed, so many people exposing their best moments. But
Yeah.
people need to be more vulnerable and talk about those stuff so we can
Yes.
remember that I know every single detail of my backstage. So it's important. I think it's important for me to share this. We need to talk about the highs and lows. And
Mm-hmm.
and today when I look back, I think that everything went more than great. I'm not saying, oh, everything went as it's supposed to. It could have been different if
Yes.
I had a different environment or a mentality, or if I was more like ready for what was expecting. I mean, but in the end, it went out like great, and I'm happy where I am.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Arrivals. Today I'm talking to Rubia, or Ruby, who grew up in Brazil dreaming of becoming an astronomer, of moving abroad, someone very curious who wanted to understand the world. Her path didn't go in a straight line. She became a journalist, then moved into marketing, and later into data analysis. But behind there's a much deeper story. Rubia moved to Canada to start over, and what she found was not easy. She faced moments where she felt out of place, questioned, and pushed to her limits. At one point, she had to make very hard decisions, begin again, and she did. Today, she works with data, she writes, and continues to build a life that feels true to who she is. In this episode, we talk about identity, resilience, and what it really takes to keep going when things don't go as planned. Let's get started. Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm happy we were able to make this happen.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me. I'm also excited about it.
Can you describe yourself for someone that doesn't know you?
Okay. So, first of all, this is super tricky because I mean, we are just a collection of so many things. My name is Rubia. In Portuguese, it will be Rubia. And so that's why usually in English I go by Ruby because it's easier for most of the people.
Yeah.
I'm Brazilian, currently living in Canada, Quebec, meaning I live in this amazing place where we have this mix of culture, French and English. I work with data. I also write books. So I'm in the middle of this universe of words and numbers. I'm married. I don't have kids, and I'm a curious person. Let's stop at it. Yes.
Okay. Love it. I do want to start with your career changes that you made because that was one of the many things that I find very interesting about you is that you've changed careers, I think, 4 times. You started as a journalist,
Okay.
transitioned into marketing,
Uh-huh.
then into PR, and now into data analysis, right?
Yeah. Because I
Okay.
mean, well, I studied journalism.
Okay.
However, the name of the course, it's social communications. And then the specialization was in journalism. When you have this degree, you can actually work as PR as well. It's not exactly PR, but it's the closest term that I could have for you. So it's still in the same area. So I wouldn't consider it a career change at this point. I mean,
Okay.
for example, while working as a journalist, I worked with some translations, also with a publisher in a magazine. So, but I was still working as a journalist. So I couldn't say that I've changed 4 times, but 3 maybe, or
Mhm.
yeah, 2.5. Because you mentioned PR, when I was working for this company that it was a consulting job. I was going to stay there only for 6 months. It was an advertising agency, and they had a client who were going. They were going through a major change, so they needed someone who could do some PR for them.
Okay.
Then I was there, and after, by the end of this period, my boss, he told me, I think that you have this eye for working with this type of clients and data and business. Meaning, it was the beginning of some things that right now are just incorporated to our lives, but like Google Analytics, AdWords, so many new ways of having data about websites and businesses. And they were starting this new team at that time, 2011. He told me, if you want, if you are open to change, to a career change, well, I'll be your mentor. We will pay some certifications for you. And then he didn't know that at the time, but I always loved numbers. So I saw it as a great opportunity. And I said, why not? Let's do it. And then I
Mm-hmm.
started working for them on this new team that will be doing digital marketing, social media. And at some point, I started thinking, I like this and I want to learn the technical part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband, he's a programmer, a developer. And then he used to say, you have to, I think you would love to work with this because, as he said at the time, you do Sudoku for fun. So I guess you would like to work, you would enjoy working with logic, etc. And then I started learning some programmation languages. And long story short, today I work on the technical side of it, meaning that right now I still work with marketing data, but I'm the person who provides the information for the other person who's going to make the reports and do the analysis.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. And since you were a journalist, you had this passion for data and numbers, or you discovered it as you went?
I mean, I've always been a curious person since I was a little kid. I always loved reading, and then it develops. It's part of me, but it's also the environment, and then little things along of the way.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look back, at school, I usually had good grades physics, mathematics, and it was something that it was more interesting for me, despite of the fact that I also love like history, for example. I love it. And Portuguese, it was not really a passion for me. But as I went to the university studying journalism, I've learned techniques and how to write. And then I remember I had those two moments. Once when the teacher, he brought this song, an old Brazilian song, so we could analyze it. And for me, it was like, okay. And then he started kind of breaking it down, the lyrics and the meaning behind it. And I started like to fall in love for this beautiful process. And another moment, the same teacher actually, he was explaining to us how there's this misconception of, oh, I'm writing because now I feel like it and I'm feeling creative and then I'm doing it. But you actually can put yourself on this place and have techniques to do it. And then we did some activity and I wrote something so I don't know, nice. And then I was like, okay, maybe. And I would write poems when I was a teenager. And then a friend
Mm.
of mine at the university, he told me, you should submit one of those to the
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't anything like a big competition or so. And then I won. And then was like, okay, maybe I should do this more often. And after I wasn't working as a journalist anymore, but as I kept reading and reading different books and stories, all of that were just overflowing. And I needed to write, to tell stories. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to write a book. It's a hobby. I just want to write it. I actually quit my job at the time. And I spent
When
three
was
months.
this?
It was on 2016.
Okay, back in Brazil.
Back
Yes.
in Brazil, I was at actually a lot of things were happening. I went to this career specialist because I was on this move to go to the technical part of it. And at the same time, I just wanted to write this book and I was figuring it out. And then a friend told us about Canada. So a lot of things were happening in 2016. And then
Okay.
I wrote the book, I finished it, and then I came back to work. And I came
What did
to
you do with the book?
Wow, I literally I read a book about writing a book, and I literally followed step by step. And by the end, I just submitted to different publishers. And for me at that moment, that was it. So I'm just going on with my life. But then I started receiving some offers, some proposals, and then I realized, okay, I guess that I'm publishing it really for real. And then I signed a contract with the publisher back then. Uh, it was 2017 already, but by then I received an email saying that I was accepted to an institution in Canada. So then I was like, okay, but I published the book. And at the same time, I just started a new journey. And at that moment, if you asked me, I would say, okay, that's it. I just published the book and I'm keeping with my life, my regular life, and that's it.
Like you're saying, you're very curious, and that's what has taken you to make this career transitions.
Uh-huh.
But I think a lot of people, when they want to do a career change, are not only scared but don't know where to start, or they think that they need a whole degree for it. In your case, like you're saying, one thing led to another, and that's how you change careers. But to someone listening, maybe that is thinking about a career change.
Yeah.
And based on your experience, what do you think was top of mind for you when you said, yes, I'm going to go full on this completely different career, but there's a lot of transferable skills between them, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a combination of things because the first of the first thing is lots of people they perpetuate the thinking of if you're good with words, you're never going to be good with numbers. Or if you're like this, that's your box. And then if you change it, oh, I have another box for you. So I never liked it because I believe that life is so wonderful. So there's so many things happening. And if you think of your brain capacity and everything that's happening, you should go and do experiments and try things. So that's the first thing. I think that's important.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then two things. One, when I was a teenager, 17 maybe, I remember seeing this. It was a flyer about this university. I don't even remember, but I remember the picture and the phrase. The picture was someone roller skating, and then it was saying something in like in Portuguese sounds better, but it says if you're standing still, you're a column, something like that. Meaning move and then come to your study with us, something like that. And that phrase, meaning it went deep. So in different moments of my life, I will think about it. I don't want just to be
Right.
just
One thing.
in the same place. So if you have the second mindset, it's good. It's good to go and try something different. And then there's this another phrase that says, I remember seeing it once, and it says, but what if I fall? And then it
Hmm.
says, but oh my darling, what if you fly? And then it was always a matter of, let's see if I'm falling or flying.
Yeah.
And you go from there. And I mean, I try to remember that even now, I'm 39 tomorrow.
No, really? Uh,
For
Happy
someone
birthday.
for someone who's 15, I'm old. For someone who's 80, I'm young. And then it's just like there's so much life that's waiting for me to live. So let's try to live it before they're just memories, you know? I think that's it.
Yeah, and especially that to take risks and that we're not only one thing and we should keep it in our lane.
I mean, this expression, keep in your lane. It's like I understand it, but at the same time, I don't
Hmm.
think that life is a highway. It's more like a trail in the woods.
Right. Yes. More like the roots of a tree.
Yeah, something
Very
like that.
complicated. Right.
Something very important for me. It's I don't think that my life it's being born, then working, doing whatever is expected, and then death, and then that's it. I believe that I'm just a part of something bigger than me.
Yeah.
And I think that also plays an important part because at each step of the way, I believe in God and He's everywhere in my life. So I'm also asking Him, oh, could you help me? I'm doing everything that I can, the ordinary, and then the extra comes from Him. And
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah. And I want to tie this also to the reason of why you immigrated for the first time and that curiosity also that you had for to live abroad. And you mentioned before that you wanted to live in Italy, right? At some point.
It's like, I mean, I grew up reading books, different books, but there's always someone going to Italy or Switzerland, Zurich, and
Mm,
I used to be fascinated by it. I think that maybe if I was reading more romance, would be going to Paris as well, because I mean, Paris.
yeah,
So
right.
I was always dreaming of traveling, going abroad and experiencing things. So I always had this in mind. My husband knew this and we spoke about it before getting married. And then at some point we decided, okay, that's the moment. And then I started looking for different options, places, because I was just going to combine passion and life. So I was trying to find a place where I could study something related to my new career and also a nice place. And a friend of his who had lived in Canada, he was always saying, "Oh, you should go there. You should go there. You would love it." She knew that I love like the French language, and she was
Hmm.
like, "Oh, you should go. You should go." And then I started looking to different places at the same time. I wasn't looking at Italy at the moment because I it was not aligned with the courses that I was looking for. So I looked into Norway, Sweden, and Canada.
Okay.
And then the idea was to stay at that country during 2 years or so. And then after, in my mind, I was going to convince my husband to go to Italy. And then we came to Canada. It was not a long process, but there were many steps. Talking with the professor, and then submitting everything to university, and then you have the proficiency exam that you have to take, lots of things. And I was doing a lot of things at the same time. I was publishing my book, I was looking up to those different deadlines for the different countries, and I even forgot about it.
What do you mean?
I mean, I had a promotion at work, and I was just keeping going with my life because I needed just, okay, now I'm thinking of this, taking of this. And then I received an email from the project manager from the university saying, just checking here if you're coming because you were approved and it's been a month and we haven't heard from you. And it was like, And then I replied to him saying, okay, but could you point me to where I could look so I can apply for a scholarship because it was super expensive? And then he replied, I mean, you got the scholarship as well. And like, it was August 2017. And in December, I was arriving in Canada. So,
Wow.
yes.
Yeah. And the French you started to learn back home in Brazil.
At this point, I started translating some music. And then in August, when I was like, "Oh, I'm really going to Canada," then I
Mhm.
took some private classes. But here I was supposed to study in English, not in French.
Okay.
I was supposed to, but I arrived and most of my classes were in French. So I just learned on the fly.
Yeah. And English you learned since you were a kid in Brazil?
Yes, yes. My father, he always liked learning languages, and we had a lot of like books, videos at home, and I've learned it when I was, yes.
Was it hard to convince your husband to do this with you or
Coming here to Canada, you mean?
yeah.
We when we decided to get married, we had this conversation.
Yeah.
We were talking about it, and I'm like, okay, I love you. I love you. I don't want to stay with anyone else. Me neither. We've been together for a couple of years. Yeah, I guess we should get married. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So let's go over a few bullet points. We literally started talking about it, because I mean, we were young. I was
Mhm.
23 and he was 24.
Mhm.
So we started talking about, so what are your goals for life? What do you think about finances, kids, etc., etc., etc.? And at some point, I told him, I want to have an experience abroad. So I was like, maybe I'll go to Florence and I'll stay there because I didn't mention this. I work as a photographer when I was at the university because I mean, I learned about it and then my had this big, you can do like an article or a thesis, but I decided to do a documentary
Mm.
with photos back in Brazil. So I had the equipment and the knowledge. So I was like, I can stay 6 months in Italy, learn, I don't know, do a photography course because I mean, Florence is the heart
Right.
of art for me. I can do that, or we can do something
Mhm.
together after we get married. Was like, let's do it after so we can go together.
Hmm.
But he needed to be ready for this because he was not his dream, it was my dream. So at some point we traveled abroad and then he was like, I guess I'm ready. Let's do this. We were married for
Hmm.
like 4 or 5 years. And then that was it. I started looking and bringing to the table, oh, maybe this, what thing about this? And that was it.
Mhm. Yeah. And then this whole getting accepted into the university. And when you moved, I just want to talk about how you felt when you first arrived. You mentioned before that the first 15 months in Quebec were very hard.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
I mean, it was a dream come true. I was excited about it. I was going to live in this different country, this exotic country, with snow and people speaking another language. And I was going to be in close contact with different cultures. I was extremely excited about it, happy, and you could see it. And then
Yeah.
I got here and met people, and it's hard. Immigrating is hard, and we didn't have any friends here at the time. We met some people, of course, and I had a friend back in Brazil with a sister who lived here. So she said, I talked with my sister, and she said that you can sleep at her place for a couple of nights. I mean, it was incredible. She was just amazing and we became friends. But that was it. And I went to university and I wasn't prepared for what's coming next because I I had this different background when I was going to this very specific course, a master's connected to mathematics, to this specific field. I studied a lot. I took a lot of private courses and classes 101 with math teachers. I studied hard. However, everything that I mentioned to you, I don't believe in boxes. I don't think that we need to think about this, etc. I know right now, I try not to think that I was too naive, but at the same time, it was a little bit of that.
Hmm.
And I learned the hard way that the world will put you in a box.
Yes.
If you don't fit in this box, people will be very uncomfortable. They won't like you because they need to put you in a box. So they will keep looking for one box for you. And if you don't fit, that will be a huge problem. So suddenly I'm this Latina because I mean, and when you turn on your TV, people who look like me, they're not smart. Usually they're just someone who's going to break up a marriage, or maybe it's someone who's doing, I don't know, working with criminals or they're not studying advanced or applied mathematics. So people were not used to this. There was not a box for me, and I was not using the box. And I mean, it's hard when you're on this place where I don't look like the person that I suppose I'm supposed to be. And
Hmm.
on the other hand, you're not supposed to be good with numbers or with analysis if you're good with words. If you know how to write, no, you're not. No, how? Because I'm not a genius. I'm a regular person. So how come this
Hmm.
regular person is here studying to be bilingual and then calculus, mathematics, and she worked as a journalist in her previous life. And she's a girl because not a woman. We're not women. We were girls. And then
Right.
it was the beginning of the. I was not prepared for that. So
Mm.
it was
Yeah.
really, really a really intense phase for me.
Was this coming from professors, fellow students, from
Yeah,
all
I mean,
over?
I had there were nice people. I'm not saying, oh, everyone was bad. No, I had the opportunity to meet nice and kind people, but I had some fellow students and a few professors who were especially mean.
Mm. Yeah.
And at some point, I remember I studied with one of the fellow students and someone coming from Portugal. They at some I don't want to identify anyone, so I'll try to be more vague.
Yeah.
They
That's okay.
just asked me point blank, do you know what Europeans think about Brazilian women? And I was like, then I said, no, what do they think about Brazilian women? And the person said, oh, they're just easy women, and then proceed to say some derogatory stuff. And then I said, oh, I see, you're telling me this because you want to say that that's how you see me? No, no, no. So you think that's how the other people in the group see me? No, I listen. So you know, those things
Yeah.
would happen here and there. Or some French people would tell me like, oh yeah, Ruby, you come from the new world. Maybe you don't understand some aspects of the old world in Europe. And I would be like, I we're in the 21st century. Or someone from India, he was part of the group, and he looked at me and saying, "You're here? You're studying here? But really? Like I thought they would be just guys in here." And he didn't even know at that point my background. He was just looking at me. So the word this, and I know that happens with a lot of people. It's not like, oh, I'm the special cookie. No, it's not that. And then teachers, on this course, I studied, I had the grades, but the teacher, he told me, I don't think that you understood. I'm not giving you a B or a C. I'm giving you a D because I want you to retake this class because I don't think you understood it. If I had the grade.
Wow.
And then there was this other teacher, and I was struggling with this one. It was really hard. And he told me, I want you to retake this because I'm here to do my best so you won't have your diploma. Because if you have it, that means that you worked hard and you overcame a lot of stuff. And I'm here to put as much as problems and things along your way. And I was just
Yeah.
this is crazy. And on my second term, I was taking those really hard classes. Mathematical programming, a lot of stuff. And I studied a lot and I got to pass on those extremely hard courses that I didn't have to take, but my advisor was trying to push me for me to keep going and stay to the PhD. And then when I took one of his classes, so my advisor, and I took the exam and I had a good, I don't remember like the grade, but in the end it was like A minus. He told me, so you will have to spend some time with the TA and you will have to explain everything to them. So I'm convinced that you really understood everything.
Jesus.
And I actually did it. I stayed for 1 hour and explained by heart, writing everything. This is right, this, and this is the algorithm. This is how you solve it, etc., etc. So they were convinced, and we kept moving. We kept moving on. The third term, it was just the same. And at some point, I received this exam and I looked at one of the questions that the teacher gave me 0 for the question. And it was, oh, you have this problem. So which algorithm you will choose to solve this problem? And then do the 3 or 5, I think it was 5 first iterations explaining how it works. So I chose an algorithm. And then I kept writing by hand all the iterations. And I didn't have the time to do, I don't remember if I did 4 out of 5 or 3 out of 2. And then I came to the teacher and I told her, okay, so why 0? Why you didn't even consider what I did here? And she told me, because you need to understand that this is not real life. In real life, the algorithm you chose, it's the best one. But here, you need to choose the one that is easier. It's simplest, let's say. So you can write all the iterations. So you didn't write all the iterations, so it's 0 for you. And at that moment, when she actually used the words, if you were in real life, you chose the best algorithm, but here it's not how it works. I couldn't even say, I was just mute. And I said, I pick up my stuff. I left. I sat on the stairs of the building, staring like blank. And at that moment, what was going on in my mind was, I'd rather be dead than keep going through all of this. And then in my brain's like, this is not good. This doesn't make any sense. You're a happy person. You love life. So you shouldn't be doing this. I was doing therapy, of course. And I was struggling with the idea of dropping out of something because I'm not a quitter. I am a finisher, etc., etc. And then my therapist, she would say, but what is for you the definition of everything's going to be okay? And I told her, when I have the paper in my hand that I finished this course, that's my definition of everything's went well. And she said, That's not how it works. And then we were working through it. And then I listened to this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's called the Happiness Lab. And then one episode, the person was saying, when you go to climb Mount Everest, the definition of success, it's not reaching to the top. It's going back to the first camp. If you're not
Mm-hmm.
able to go back to the first camp, you cannot say that you succeeded because you're just another dead body in the mountain.
Right. Yes.
So if at some point when you're climbing Mount Everest, you realize that if you go through the top, you won't be able to go back to the first camp. You need to just go back to the first camp because that's success.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, oh, I need to go back to the first camp.
Right.
It was so hard. I mean, it was so hard. It was intense. I felt a lot of shame. I mean, I even, at that point, I just closed. I put this barrier, and then I just stood in silence, thinking about what's next. Because at that moment, I was like, I don't know anymore what I'm doing next. We could stay legally in Canada. I'm not going through
Mm-hmm.
the details because it's not the point. And then I was like, okay, I will look for another option. I will look for another course that it's more aligned with what I want, with the real life, if I'm quoting the delightful teacher. And that
Yeah.
was good because I actually found something that it was connected to the Canadian job market and everything. But while I was studying there, I was also struggling with myself in the sense of trying to find my worth. Because at some point, I couldn't think that I was able to finish a course, to get another job,
Mm-hmm.
to learn something because of everything that was happening day after day during the university. And I decided to find a part-time job where I could just turn off, practice French language. And then I started working as a cashier at Tim Hortons. It's a place here in Canada.
Yeah.
Actually, I started there. I went there because they needed someone to make coffee. And after the first day, they told me, Ruby, I mean, you're bilingual and you're a nice person. We want you to train you as a cashier. What they didn't know, it was I was so terrified. I didn't think that I was even able to perform a simple task to make the coffee, and then just that. I didn't think that I was like, they will find out that I'm an imposter because I mean, and then someone asked me, oh, where are you from? I panicked because I thought, oh, they will find out that I'm a Latina and everything will start. I was so scared because some people think that I'm a Moroccan sometime or I come from India if my hair is straight. So I said, I almost whispered like, I'm from Brazil. And the person like, oh, Brazil, I love Brazil. And then I was like, okay, I'm not used to this. And then I was trying to go back to that place, the spark that I had. And then I worked as a cashier. No one knew that I was actually studying something else. No one knew. They just thought that whatever. I didn't want to say anything about myself, about my personal life.
Hmm.
And those 4 months 4-ish months that I spent there, they healed me, in a tremendous way. All of those people. I would start at 6 a.m. So I would be there a little bit before 6 a.m. And I would arrive there, and the manager would say, oh, good morning, Ruby. Life is good, Ruby. And then I'll be, oh, yes, life is good. Yes. But then day after day, hearing, yes, life is good. Good morning. Life is good. And everyone was so nice, so happy. And one day there was a problem with the because I was helping someone, and then she just took the cash register after me, and in the end of the day, it was missing like $8. And the day after I learned about it, the manager told me, and he said, as the other person was working there like for 7 hours and I only worked on that cash register only 1 hour, he told me, I think that she needs to pay for it because the probability is that was her mistake. And then I said, no, no, let's split it. It's okay. I could actually give them the $8. And then he said, no, she's paying. That's it. So after he left, I took $8 that I had with me and I gave it to her. Her eye, like, oh, she was on the brink of crying in front of me. And at that moment, I realized those $8 are going to make a huge difference on her life. And then
Mm,
all of my problems
yeah.
seemed so manageable.
Hmm.
Not they're
Yes.
less
Yeah.
important because every problem is a problem. We all have our challenges, but some of them are more manageable than others. So those moments they helped me a lot, and it was
Yeah.
really, yes, really transforming.
But by this time that you work there, you already have quit this
Yes,
program, right?
yes.
Okay. You were enrolling in the other.
Yes, I was already on
Okay.
another program. I was studying and working, and then this was 2019. I
Okay.
finished last week of June 2020. So the
Hmm.
last months were on the COVID period. But I
Right.
remember
Yeah.
last day I finished it. I closed my laptop and then I burst into tears. I was just crying so hard. And my husband, what happened? Is everything okay? And then I was like, it's over. I got to finish. I was able. I mean, I was just crying, saying, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I think it's important talking about this because so many times in life, everyone it's going through so many problems and challenges.
Right.
But when we open our phones, when you go through social media, it's happiness all around.
Hmm.
And then
Yes.
if you're going for something and you look on your feed, so many people exposing their best moments, you're like, what's going on with me? But
Yeah.
people need to be more vulnerable and talk about those stuff so we can
Yes.
remember that I know every single detail of my backstage, but I only know your highlights about your highlights. So we cannot
Absolutely.
compare those things. So it's important. I think it's important for me to share this. We need to talk about the highs and lows. And
Hmm.
and today when I look back, I think that everything went more than great. I'm not saying, oh, everything went as it's supposed to. It could have been different if
Yes.
I had a different environment or a mentality, or if I was more like ready for what was expecting. I mean, but in the
Yeah. Well,
end, it went out like great, and I'm happy where I am. You know,
yeah. When you were going through all of that, you had a therapist, but did you talk to other people at the university about it? Like facing all this discrimination can be very traumatizing, and I know when you're going through it is so hard. But you could have also gone home.
Mhm.
Like what else were you thinking in that sense
I
to
mean,
tell anybody else?
I was the type of person who was taught to be strong and tough. So I couldn't just talk about it with some of my peers. So I would mention here and there, maybe some aspects of it. But at that moment, I did not actually open up with someone. By the end of it, I spoke with someone else who also was studying at the same place. And they told me I went through so many strange things. And what they did, this person told me that the institution also actually has this, like the lawyers that can help the students if they want to bring charges or something like that. And I mean, I know a lot of people have great experiences over there, and that was just my piece of it was just how can I, because I don't want to sound as if, oh, I'm just demonizing this institution or whatever.
No, yeah,
Just
yes, I
a
understand.
combination of factors. I met some people who were there who were not happy about it, and they decided to go to another institution. I met some people who changed their combination of classes or changed the
Hmm.
advisor. At that point, I just needed to take myself out of that environment. Leaving took me a lot of strength.
Right, of
So at
course.
that moment, with all the informations that I had at that moment, I decided that the best was not playing with the odds of staying. I could have stayed.
Yes.
It would be like financially at that moment, it would have been better because I had to spend a lot of money with my next course. I had to change my visa information. So you have to pay for this. It's a lot of things that you need to do. And after I got to talk about it with some friends, and some of them were like, I had no idea why you didn't reach out.
Hmm.
I mean, I had to learn to be vulnerable, to talk about the what I just said, the highs and lows, and not just keep being the strong person, the person I'm resilient, I'm strong, I'm tough.
Hmm.
No, sometimes you don't need to be resilient. You don't need to keep swimming against the current. Just find another current, find another river and chill, you know?
Yes, but it takes a lot to get there, like you're saying, and like you did, but you did it.
Yeah, a
And
lot of time, a lot of money, because I mean, I'm not going to say like, oh, you can do it. Therapy, you have to pay for therapy.
yes,
So a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of reading, a lot of listening, but that's life. Otherwise,
yeah,
we'll just be thinking that we're just standing still. But once you're standing still, you're just getting behind because the law of
hmm.
life is moving. Yeah.
You mentioned it when you were in this job and changing programs. That's when you started to feel more like Montreal was home. That university is not the reality of
Yes.
the city that you lived in.
Yes. Yes. I mean, at this point, my husband, he was already really happy here. He had fallen in love with the city and everything. But I was like, more like, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And then I got to live in different circles outside of the academia, let's say like this. And then I got to see so many nice things and meet people and really experience the reality here. And little by little, things were changing. There's this quote, I won't be able to reproduce it like verbatim, but it's from C.S. Lewis. He says that every new decision that we make will change you. So after this new decision, you're not the same person that you were before making it. And then
Hmm.
all of those tiny bits, it's not the big ones. It's all of the small steps, the small decisions, the small little details that you do here and there will make you something new. So that's what was happening with me. I was deciding little by little to say, let's find another window. Let's find
Right.
another angle. Let's do this recycling and not find out, but meet me, like whatever is inside of me, but it's maybe because of all of those circumstances just hiding in some place. So
Hmm.
let's experiment, let's try, let's see, let's listen, and let's be more gentle with ourselves.
Yeah. And when you got to that point, just to draw the timeline, how much time had it passed for ever since you moved to Brazil to get into that point?
I finished school and I was happy. It was really, I was really in a good place. At that point, we were in 2019. I was finishing school, meeting friends, everything was nice, and then COVID.
Yep.
Then everything was closed.
Yes.
Life was different. I had this really vibrant routine, and then home. And then I started working at this place where people would make fun of my accent. And sometimes I would use the wrong word and they would make fun of it in the middle of the meeting. And I'm a Christian, but I mean, it's not like I go to work say, "Hey guys, hey folks, I'm a Christian. Let's talk about God. Let's open our Bible." No, I just live my life. If someone asks about it, I will answer. But then my manager at the time, he's an atheist, and first day, he said, "Oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that, and I'm an atheist, and I consider myself." He used this word, but it was something around like I'm a preacher because I need to convince people to be atheists like me. I was done. Oh, okay, good for you.
Yeah.
What I'm supposed to say. And
Right.
he would bring things. Literally, he would print out things. Do you know that Einstein? I know that people say that Einstein said, "Oh, God doesn't through dices," or he would talk about God, but do you know that in one letter to someone, he said this? And we can infer from that that actually Einstein was also an atheist like me. Oh, okay. And one day in the meeting, during the meeting, he mentioned, "Oh, because, oh, people who believe in God like this and that." And I was like, this is so crazy. And then I was feeling better, but at the same time, I was still, why, what I'm doing here? Because it's a nice place,
Hmm.
but I'm again on this crazy environment. And I spoke with my husband and we said, okay, let's consider the option of moving maybe to another country, maybe to another province. Because at that point, we loved Canada and we were tired. Immigrating takes a lot of
Yeah.
energy. And then I started praying about it. He also started praying about it because before coming to Canada, I had this conversation with God saying, I'm doing my best, but and at the same time, I know that it's kind of crazy that the top university will accept me because I don't have the pedigree, you know? So I was excited. Everything went so well. And then I was praying, saying, but it seems that I was not supposed to be here. I keep trying. Should I stay here? Please give me something. And I applied for another job at Canadian Tire. It's a big corporation. And I mean, I love the store. I love it.
Hmm.
It was not to
Hmm.
work at the store. It was to work on a data team. And 2 days after, I received an email inviting me for an interview. And then I just couldn't understand it because I didn't know anyone. I don't have the credentials. You know, it's a big company. My name, I remember I talk about it with a career consultant. Should I change my name on LinkedIn because Ruby
Mm.
Albuquerque, it's not very like Canadian friendly. And she said to me at the time, don't do it because if you do it, you are going maybe to attract the wrong people.
Right.
Just be yourself. Just like
Yeah.
your curls, because sometimes I would straighten my hair, etc. Username, user curls, because if someone wants to hire you, it's the good. Like, I mean, you're not attracting the wrong crowd. So in 2 weeks, I got a job offer from Canadian Tire. Couldn't believe it because
Hmm.
so I decided to say stay here. And everyone was so nice. It was such an amazing experience working there. Amidst of all of the turmoil, the COVID situation, it was really, 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 really great working there.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
then I just realized, okay, that's it. I love it here. I want to stay here. We're staying. Actually, we went on a vacation to Italy. I came back thinking, oh, maybe. And then I was like, it will be just a vacation place to go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I finally was at that place. I would say it would be when I was 100% feeling that I was belonging, everything was okay.
Right.
It was the beginning of 2021.
Wow.
Yes. But I
Years.
mean, if we're
Yeah.
telling if we're talking about the whole feeling, but already by 2020, I was already feeling okay, let's do
Better.
this.
Yeah.
Let's do this. We have this, we have that, but focus. I'm working with this really nice person, but this can change. But
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it takes time. Life takes time.
Of course. Yes. Yes, it does. Do you feel like today, do you find yourself sometimes hiding parts of yourself still, or that's behind?
That's a great question. That's such an important question. And no, actually, I don't think that I'm there anymore. And along of the way, when you decide to be more truthful to yourself, when you learn to draw limits, to do stuff that will protect you, you will lose people.
Yes.
You will lose people, but you will also gain real experiences and friends. And even if you don't, the feeling of being yourself, unapologetic,
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we get it.
it's
Yeah.
it's really it's worth it. Yesterday I was celebrating my birthday
Mm.
and I decided to do this gathering and I put this flowers, a lot of flowers in my hand. And as for some second, I was like, "Ah, maybe this is too much." But then this is me, and I was happy, and I had this precious moment where everyone that would be with me would be people who knows me, who who appreciates the
Yeah.
aspects of my life that sometimes might be a little bit eccentric. But yeah,
Yeah. But we have to embrace that.
yes, I
That's
just broke the ball.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. I want to finish with one question, Rubia. What makes you more happy today? Can be small things, can be big things.
What makes me happy? It's a combination of things, but the first thing that it's the base that keeps everything steady. It's the acceptance of the fact that I'm taken care by my creator. The situations might change, but there's a north. There's a reference point. And if I'm not being too philosophical,
You can be.
once I heard someone saying, asking the question, what makes you wake up every day? And at that moment, I realized, oh, it's my work. And then I started making some changes, and it's not my work anymore, despite of the fact that I love doing what I do. But it's the possibility of learning new things, studying a new book, being here, being alive. I got very sick for a period of time, and it was with my lungs. And
Mm.
now I appreciate breathing, doing some exercise. I like to remove the snow in front of my house just because I can. My body is working, my lungs are working. I can go for a walk, I can be in nature, I can appreciate that I'm here at this moment. This makes me
Right.
happy, you know?
Yes.
So goes the little things like, oh, I've decided that I'm with pink nails this week. And this makes me happy because I see colors. So the 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 warmth of summer, it's here despite of the snow outside. So I think
Yes.
that's it.
I
And you
love
both,
that.
this
Yeah.
drinking this tea. I love like London fog or chai. I learned this with someone from India when I was like, "Oh, do you want some tea?" And she said, "I respectfully decline because for me this is not tea." And I said, "Oh, okay, elaborate, please elaborate." And then
Yeah.
she he told me about the Indian tea, the chai tea, and then when I tried it, it's so good. So it's
Right.
good. Flavor,
Yeah.
people, sense. This is a combination of everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Indian chai tea.
Yes. But the spiced one. It's the there's a lot of things mixed in it. It's so good. So it's
Yeah.
good. Like after COVID, after everything that happened, even the small interactions or big ones, like the exchange that we're having right now, it's precious. There's this
Yes.
saying in Portuguese. It's from an author who's called Cora Coralina. And she said something like, I don't know if life is big or small, but I'm sure that it's only worth it if we can touch each other's hearts.
Right.
I'm trying to translate it in a good way. So I think that's important to preserve this, to keep having those moments where we're not in silos. We're
Yes.
actually connecting with each other, with nature, with all the creation. I know it sounds like new age, but I mean,
No. Yeah.
yeah,
Especially now
yeah,
with all the tech and the things separating us. But
yeah.
thank you, Rubia. Thank you for reminding us of all of this. I love everything that you said.
Good night. And it's so, and I mean, two big parentheses. I just realized that my light is off and I'm in the dark. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, we can see you. It's great.
Okay. And it's really has been. It's a pleasure to be here. And it's a challenge because my life now is in French.
Right. Yes. Yes. And you speak like fully now, right? You're fluent.
Yeah. I mean, when we compare with our first language, it's always there's a lot of things, but yeah,
Yes.
my life is in French
So,
as well.
yeah, English is now your third. Your
In theory, but I mean, I when I read or like my podcasts in general are in English, and my books in general are also in English. But
oh well.
right now I'm reading a book in French, so I try to balance, but
Yes.
I need to keep absorbing English.
Do you see yourself in Canada in the future? I'm just curious if you ever thought of immigrating again.
If we're talking about 30 years from now, likely not. I'm likely going to, I don't know, Costa Rica.
Yes.
Or maybe I'm finally
Yeah.
going to Italy or Portugal. I don't know. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But maybe I might sound cheesy, but right now I'm aiming to live one day at a time. So at this moment, I'm in Canada. I plan to stay in Canada. I enjoy my work. I enjoy uh, my life that I have here. And let's just finish things that I started and explore ideas and experiences one day at a time.
Yes. With an open heart.
Yes, because if I would have to choose one thing that life has taught me, this one thing would be you don't have any control. Even if
Mhm.
you thoroughly plan,
Right.
even if you explore every possible situation, something might happen, change everything, and it will be for the best. We never know. So just
Yes.
let go.
Let go. Let's finish with that. Thank you, Rubia.
Thank
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. What stayed with me from this conversation is how Rubia kept going. She tried things, changed directions, and gave herself permission to start again. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone who might need it. You can also reach out at arrivalspodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, suggestions, or feedback. You can also leave a comment on Spotify, YouTube, or on our Substack. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.